As a materialist, you might wonder, well, Leo, how is this possible? How is any of this physically possible? Because like I've said before, the universe is not a mechanical, physical object. It's a giant mind. It's an infinite mind. And it can dream up and hallucinate whatever it wants. And so what we're exploring here is not physicality, we're exploring infinite hallucination. And there's only one subject, one giant mind, one subject, but an infinite amount of dreams and hallucinations within it, subdividing itself to infinity, forever and ever and ever. And you are that entire thing. And also, right now, you are identified with being one little subdivision of that giant thing. Of course, don't expect to remember all of the various incarnations, iterations that you went through, because what it means to be you is that you have your memories. That's what it means to be separate and individualized, a subpartition. See? And when your brain gets damaged and your body dies, then the memory basically gets wiped clean. If you doubt that something like this is possible, there's a class of psychedelics that you can take which will actually make you forget that you took a psychedelic. These are not ordinary psychedelics. This is not like LSD or mushrooms or DMT or 5-MeO. This is something a little bit more sinister and scary. This is truly the stuff of nightmares. This is the stuff of insane asylums. You take one of these psychedelics, like salvia or datura, for example, and when this thing kicks in, you have no memory that you took this psychedelic. You have no memory of who you were as a human being before that. All of that is wiped away. You are immersed in a totally new reality that feels completely lifelike, and it's just pure hallucination. That means you can, for example, have a conversation with your parent or your spouse on this psychedelic, and you're having this conversation for 30 minutes, and you're debating with them something important, you're talking, and then 30 minutes later you realize that was just a hallucination, it never even happened, and it felt completely real. You might open your window, look through your window on the grassy lawn, and you might see a helicopter landing on the grassy lawn, and you'll hear the sound, you'll feel the wind from it all kicking you in the face, and maybe you'll see some police running out of the helicopter, running towards you, and then you realize when they get to you, none of that ever happened. It was just a hallucination. And while you're hallucinating that, you won't even know that you're hallucinating. It will just feel completely real. And the reason that's possible is precisely because there is no difference between reality and hallucination. What you're experiencing right now is a persistent hallucination. And one day it will end, and that will be that, and your entire life will be gone in the blink of an eye as though it was just a movie. I don't, by the way, recommend that you try these psychedelics. They can be quite dangerous, both physically and psychologically. But, you know, for those of you who are skeptics in the audience, you need to be aware that this stuff exists. I'm not making this shit up. This is factual. You know, if you want, you can go try one of these and you'll see what we're talking about here. You'll understand this. And so that's what consciousness does. You see, consciousness gets lost inside of itself. God gets so sucked into the illusion becomes indistinguishable from reality, because there really is no distinction. That God gets so sucked into it that it ends up being where you are right now, sitting there right now, feeling like you're inside of your little bubble, you're living your life, being you, and that's what's real, right? See, you're completely hypnotized by that illusion, by that hallucination. You don't even know how to break out of it. Right? Just like with a good, juicy movie. You're totally absorbed in the movie to the point where when something happens on screen, even though it's fake, your heart starts pounding if you're watching a horror movie. There's like a jump scare or something, and you're freaked out, and it feels very real. And you get lost in it for a few hours. You see, well, This is what God is doing on steroids with all of reality. God is getting lost in itself. So there's a sort of a two-way street. You can either get lost and absorb deeper and deeper into reality, which is what something like movies do, porn does, video games do, virtual reality does, marriage and children and a career. All of this is you getting absorbed more and more and more into this fantasy, into this hallucination, and confusing it with reality. And there's the opposite direction. You can go back up the opposite direction, which is raising your consciousness and getting de-absorbed, waking up, in other words. And this is where spirituality comes in. It's a process of stopping playing within the hallucination and actually trying to climb out of the hallucination. And God will do both. God will get fully lost in the hallucination and suffer deeply and enormously. You know, there are people in the world right now who are suffering through terrible addictions, terrible depression, people who will shoot themselves tomorrow, people who will go commit violence, people who will become terrorists, people who will get lost in business for 40 years, people who would devote their entire lives to all sorts of causes and purposes that are ridiculous and harmful and pathological. And all that really is just people getting so absorbed in the hallucination. And some of those people are so far gone that there's no way that they can wake up without death, physical death. That's the only thing that will wake them up. And then there are others like you, perhaps, who have already started the waking up process by doing some meditation, some yoga, and this sorts of stuff. But you still have a long ways to go. But lest you get depressed, remember, though, that this is still only half the story. Remember, you, as God, will also experience all the positivity, all the joy, all the pleasure, and all the beauty of life. You will experience every first kiss, every hot man and hot woman, every intimate moment, every orgasm, every delicious meal, every smile on a child's face, every birthday cake that was ever eaten, every Xmas gift that was ever given, every amusement park, every sunset and sunrise, every act of kindness, every act of courage, every act of love, every sentimental moment, every victory and triumph, every success, every stroke of good luck, every jackpot in Vegas, every joke, every laugh, every masterpiece of art, every vacation, every honeymoon, every beautiful person, every mystical experience, every ecstatic vision, the birth of every cute baby boy and baby girl that was ever born. You will experience the highs of every single drug that mankind will ever invent, from heroin to cocaine to meth to opium and anything else in the future. You will experience the peak of 5-MeO-DMT. Joy and pleasure and love beyond anything that you could possibly imagine. All of that you will experience. Because that too is you. That too is everything.
May your days, may your days, may your days